top House Intelligence Committee member, is the latest Democrat to call on President Biden to withdraw from the 2024 race. There are now 17 Democratic lawmakers telling Joe directly to step aside.
Madeleine Rivera has the latest for us. Good morning, Maddie.
Hey, good morning, guys. Like you guys are pointing out, the issue for Democrats is that the president didn't completely fumble at the news conference, but he didn't knock it out of the park either. And a lot of Democrats don't see that inconsistency as sustainable. Listen.
We can't have a situation where every day we're holding our breath, whether it's a press conference, a debate, or a rally. And I think we're at a historic moment where the president can pass the torch.
It's really not about tonight. And one of the really kind of sick aspects of this moment is that we are watching every speech, every rally, every debate, and saying, how did he do today? And that's just not the way to think about the presidency of the United States.
Congressman Jim Himes, who's a ranking member in the House Intelligence Committee, is one of 17 Democratic lawmakers calling on the president to step aside. Congressman Scott Peters is also calling for the president to drop out after the president's news conference and says this in part. Today, I asked President Biden to withdraw from the presidential campaign. The stakes are high, and we are on a losing course. Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez is even suggesting the president resign, stating Americans deserve to feel their president is fit enough to do the job. The crisis of confidence in the president's leadership needs to come to an end. The president should do what he knows is right for the country and put the national interest first. Now, CNN reports former President Obama and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi have spoken privately about the president's campaign, saying, quote, CNN spoke with more than a dozen members of Congress, operatives, and multiple people in touch with both Obama and Pelosi, many of whom say that the end for Biden's candidacy feels clear, and at this point, it's just a matter of how it plays out, even after Thursday night's news conference. Our Peter Doocy says he was actually planning to ask the president about that report last night, whether the president wants his former boss working quietly to replace him. Lawrence, Steve, Ainsley, and Brian.
Right. Thank you so much, Maddie. Why did he greenlight the George Clooney column? If he wanted to stop that editorial, he could have stopped it.
Could have.
Why is he meeting with Nancy Pelosi behind closed doors? And I think this is going to reinforce what we all know, and that is the Biden camp does not get along with the Obama camp.
No.
And this is going to make him dig in more when he finds out Barack Obama's behind him, because in 2016, he went with Hillary Clinton.
To that point, Brian, to Pelosi, Obama, savvy politicians, the headlines all day yesterday was that they were leading the charge to get him out.
They still are.
They could have crushed those stories with a statement, some spokesperson, but instead, they essentially turned up the heat.
I got to tell you, Hillary Clinton had a fundraiser behind closed doors, according to the New York Post last night, with an investment banker, said that this is like he goes, Joe Biden's situation is like trying to take the keys away from a parent. And laughed, and then followed up and said, ultimately, it's going to be Joe Biden and his people around him who will make the decision. But Hillary Clinton mocking Joe Biden
absolutely.
behind closed doors.
You know, the party's divided because you have half of them that want him to stay and half that don't. And George Clooney, I don't think would have ever written that letter unless he ran it by without the blessing of Barack Obama and other Democrats. And the guy who said George Clooney, he produces movies, let him stick to that, was Congressman Steve Cohen. And he said that he's convinced a lot of people within the walls of Congress that Biden should stay in the race. You had Kate Bedingfield, she was the former comms director for Biden, said he needed to show up tonight, and he did.
Well, here's the thing. Remember Nancy Pelosi a couple of days ago on another channel said, let's just hold your fire, Democrats. Don't say anything in public until the end of the week. In other words, until after
the press conference.
Yeah, exactly. So CBS is reporting today that apparently dozens of Democratic lawmakers in the next 48 hours, it's going to be coordinated, they're going to en masse say, Joe, you've got to go. They say,
unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. CBS says that the Democrats say that behind the scenes, the next 3 or 4 days are going to be brutal for Joe Biden. And the expectation is that they will be able to squeeze him out by the middle of next week. And what happens next?
Right in the middle of the
Donald Trump will be
RNC.
speaking. Now,
Exactly.
I watched Lawrence editing this morning. Is this the montage you put together?
This is the montage right here. This is the media's reaction.
Why haven't they had them doing a lot more of these? That really is about as comfortable as he's going to get.
There was the moment at the beginning where he said Vice President Trump instead of Vice President Harris, but he did have lengthy answers on subject areas that he knows very well.
I think it's fair to say there were obviously some verbal missteps. There were some periods of haltingness, but also periods of genuinely impressive command and fluency.
He is not only strong on foreign policy, he is just fundamentally right on foreign policy.
So give some credit where credit is due. It was a solid performance, except for one flood.
Monday, Maddow says that he's fundamentally right. I think to the media's, they're in a box now because what do? He said that he's not going to leave the race. They don't want Donald Trump. They have to repair him in some way. It's the same thing for these representatives. They're saying step aside. At some point, they're going to pivot as well when he decides, well, he's already decided, that he's staying in.
All they care about is poll numbers. I care about his mental health and who's running the country now.
That's right.
If his mental health is fine and he's 58 years old and he's just polling badly, that's the way they're approaching this, when they should say, I don't think he's healthy. I don't think he can do the job. He is making me worried. He's not showing up at work. He doesn't only work till later. Those are the things that matter.
They know that. They've been saying that behind closed doors for a long time. We're hearing lots of reports that we knew how bad he was. The debate just made it open to the public.
Make a suggestion.
But they like him being like that so they can make all the choices.
If you want to get something across to me, please whisper it.
Right.
Because that's the only
very
time
effective.
I really understand.
Yeah.
So
Was that a whisper? That was not a whisper.
No, it was very direct. It was too direct.
That's right.
I need it whispered to me while leaning over.
So as they try to figure out how to go forward, if Joe Biden saw that montage that we just played, he'd go,
happy.
They love me. I'm not going anywhere. Apparently, with this coordinated attack these Democrats are planning in the next day or so, essentially what they're going to say is, we're all going to lose our jobs because of you.
Yeah.
You want your legacy to be Joe Biden loser. So that's how they're going to.
If you need anything to get done, just talk to Hunter. He's right by your side.
That's right.
Unfortunately, he is.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.